So people ask me all the time, can you use herbs, medicinal plants, in animals? The same ones that you would use in humans? Let's talk about that. I'm Dr. Patrick Jones from the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. And in addition to being, a clinical herbalist and a traditional naturopath, I went to naturopath school, I'm also a veterinarian. I've been a practicing veterinarian for over 30 years. And I've done about everything. I was in a mixed practice. I did dairy cows and beef cows and pigs and dogs and cats and poultry. And I had parrot breeders and, raised tropical fish for a living for a while. I know a lot about about any kind of critter you could think of. And in my veterinary practice, I used herbs a lot. Like, it was very rare for a animal to leave my veterinary practice without a little bag of herbs to go with whatever else I was giving him. Okay? Sometimes I was giving him pharmaceuticals too. Sometimes I was just giving him herbs, right? And the reason is that I could do all kinds of things with herbs that I couldn't do with drugs. And I can do some things with drugs I can't do with herbs. I can do some things with surgery that I can't do with drugs or herbs. Okay, so there's all kinds of tools, but I found herbal medicine as a veterinary tool was very, very effective. And so I used them a lot. So people ask me, is it okay? Can I give this to my dog? Can I give this to my horse? And the answer is, yeah, absolutely. For the most part, the same herbs that are in common use in humans can be used in animals safely, all right? Now, there's a few, very, very few exceptions, but not many. And if you're using even those herbs in a formula with 4 or 5 other herbs, you're not going to have trouble. But there are some herbs that if you use them by themselves or in high doses or long frequency, you might have trouble, particularly with dogs and cats, okay? Hops is one that I'm careful with in dogs and cats. Garlic is one I'm careful with, but I use it all the time, but I don't use lots of it long term, okay? In dogs and cats, it can cause some anemia sometimes that's pretty serious. If you gave a lot of garlic or onions to a dog or a cat, hops has some toxicity for dogs and cats because they process it differently. But really, those are the two that I think a little bit about. But for the most part, I don't worry very much. Like I say, I'm usually using herbs in combination with other things. So there's usually 3 or 4 or 5 herbs in the formula that I'm giving a dog or a cat. And I just haven't had any issues. For the many years that I've been using herbs in veterinary practice, I don't think I've seen any negative side effects. I can't say the same thing about pharmaceuticals. It's not unusual for some pharmaceutical to cause some negative side effect in a dog or a cat or a human. But I don't see it in herbs. Okay. Now, there's some herbs that aren't safe during pregnancy. There's some herbs that aren't safe during nursing, right? And there's some herbs that you don't combine with some drugs, and, those are all completely different topics. But in general, the herbs that I use in humans, I'm also willing to use in animal cases. And when I say animals, I mean everybody. Dogs, cats, cows, horses, chickens. I don't care. I've used about all of them in about everything. On my website, homegrownherbalist.net, I have all kinds of herb formulas for all kinds of things. And when I made those herb formulas, I was thinking not only like a naturopath and an herbalist, but I was also thinking like a vet. Okay, I'm making this formula for arthritis. Is it going to be okay for dogs? Yeah, this one's okay for dogs, right? And so when I made all my formulas, I made them so they'd be safe, over a broad spectrum of species. So when you look at the dosing on any of the formulas at homegrownherbalist.net, it'll give you dosage recommended for humans, and then it'll give it to you for a dog and a cat and a cow, And so you can use them in anything. And I really have seen good benefits. One thing that's very interesting to me is that when I use herbs in animals, when I give a horse or a cow herbs, it takes way less herb per pound to solve the problem than it does when I give a dog or a cat herbs. So why is that? Why is that an animal that weighs 2,000 pounds gets way less herbs per pound than a human does or a dog does? Well, I think the reason is that horses and cows are still eating what horses and cows are supposed to eat, right? And humans and dogs and cats aren't. You know, if we look at the diets and the highly processed foods that humans are eating and dogs and cats are eating because we're giving them pet foods, versus, you know, the pasture that the horse is eating, or the alfalfa and grains and things that he would find in nature, you know, their body's way less gorked up than ours. I think that's why. But I have noticed that. But all the dosing, you know, anything you see on the website for the animal dosing's on there too, on that info and dosing tab on the product pages. Anyway, just wanted to answer that question because a lot of people do ask whether you can use herbs in animals. The short, simple question is, yeah, absolutely. Again, don't use herbs during pregnancy or nursing without talking to somebody that knows about them. Don't combine them with pharmaceuticals without talking to somebody that knows about them for any species. But other than that, the herbs that are in common use, the medicinal plants that are in common use, have pretty broad safety margins for animals, just like they do for humans. I'm Dr. Patrick Jones. If you'd like to learn more about herbal medicine, especially veterinary herbal medicine, have a look at the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. I don't think anybody out there is doing as much veterinary stuff as I am in their school, because guess what? They ain't veterinarians, okay? And so we talk about all kinds of things that have applications to veterinary stuff. Usually it's the same, and I don't mention it, you know, but if it's different, I mention it, you know? So when we're talking about, you know, digestive system things for humans, everything I say is what I would say about a dog, but I also talk about parvovirus, which humans don't get. I also talk about colic, like for horses. Humans don't get that, you know. And so there's some things when it's a veterinary thing that's specific and different, we'll bring that up. So there you go. Herbs and animals are okay. I'm Dr. Patrick Jones. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the video, click the little like button, click the little subscribe button, and let us know if you're using herbs in your livestock or your pets. Have a look at the comments and see if you can let us know what you're doing. We'd love to hear about it. Thanks for listening.